morning, and my name is Louis Agudo of the Open Door Insurance Group, and today I'm here at the Marriott Courtyard. Today my guest is a graduate of West Point, also a graduate of MIT with a master's in civil engineering. He's been in corporate America for over 25 years as CIO for different companies, and went into retirement. And what happened in retirement? Decided it wasn't for him, went back to work. Guess what? Decided to retire again. And guess what? Went back to work. So it's my pleasure to introduce Eric Johnson of Crabapple Tutoring. Welcome.
Thanks, Louis.
So why Crabapple Tutoring? Why did you start the company?
Well, about 10 years ago, our daughter, who is a teacher, moved to Atlanta, and I had retired a second time. I got tired of yelling at those golf balls a little bit too much, and we were looking for something to do, something that we could be proud of, something that we could serve in the community, and this opportunity came up, which was a tutoring company, and we decided to invest in it and implement it and started here in the North Fulton area.
And what do you see happening in education that are causing parents to use tutoring?
Well, in this area, I'm sure you're aware the schools are very, very good. In fact, all these schools compete very well nationally in the North Fulton area. And parents who are in this area are trying to get their children into the best schools they can. And so you have curriculums where there's a lot of material, a lot faster than when you and I were growing up. And some students miss some things. And therefore, they're
being taught in the schools? Is that what it is? Too
No.
much information?
As you know, it's a brave new world, and it's a much more complex society than you and I were used to. And it's required in order for our students to compete in the society going forward.
Well, what services do you provide that aren't typical from what a school would provide?
Actually, we focus on improving the basic skills of students. And it isn't that we provide something the schools don't provide, but again, it's that individualized attention. A teacher in a classroom with 15 to 30, 35 kids can provide the individual attention that we can to help a child when they have missed something to catch up. It's just too much for an individual teacher to do that.
Well, how do you assess those needs of those individuals? Because all the students that come to you are different ages,
different skills, different learning styles, and so forth. We use a series of national tests that identify their strengths and their weaknesses in the various subjects we cover. And we cover reading, cover math, writing, language arts, and we do study skills, as well as SAT prep and ACT prep. With that assessment, we're able then to delve very deeply into what skills a student has mastered and what skills they need curriculum. And we deliver that curriculum. All of our tutors are state certified teachers, which differentiate us from a number of tutoring locations. And then with the academic management systems that we have, we can track a child through their improvements and through their mastery of each individual skill.
Do you find a lot of parents are invested in helping their kids get through, or do they just bring them to you and say, okay, it's your job?
The ones that come to us for help are invested. And we sort of make sure of that because we conference with them every 10 hours. We sit down with them, we go over what the student has covered, what they've mastered, and what our plans are for the future. So we're trying to involve the parents as much as possible.
How about the school systems? Are they helpful in any way with helping you guide their students?
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. We do conference with the teachers of individual students if the parents give us permission. We will go to the school, we'll bring our curriculum, show them what we're doing, making sure that what we're seeing is what they're seeing so that we can sort of coordinate the activities.
And what is a typical time frame for a student to achieve success, or how do you monitor those goals and levels of achievement?
And that's a good question. The success is really dependent, or the measurable success is often dependent on the subject that someone is taking. For example, in reading, when we do our initial assessment, we come up with a grade equivalency based on national norms of where a child is. And in the initial 40 hours of tutoring, we're achieving about a 1.5 year growth in reading. In math and in language arts, it's about 2 years. And have a student for 10 to 12 hours, we're getting, in a subject area, we're getting about 100 to 125 point improvement.
Is there an ideal student that you are looking for, or is it first graders, high school students, middle school?
It doesn't matter. We service all of them, and each of them are different because the way you deliver service to a kindergarten student is a lot different than a high school senior, as you can imagine. Our kindergarten students, we do one-on-one until we can get them to the point where they are more independent learners, and then we might move them into a 2-on-1 where there are 2 students for each teacher, but they're each working on their own personalized program.
What are the different triggers that a parent would see? I mean, grades reflect, we feel, what our kids are doing, but that's not always necessarily the case. What are those triggers that we would see that would say, we need to call you, or we need to look into tutoring?
Well, what I tell parents is, the first thing is, and what I've learned with experience, not scientific study, is that mom's intuition is probably the best indicator. In other words, if you're feeling that something is wrong, then you should investigate further, whether it's us or going to the school or something. That's the first indicator. The other thing is a student begins to come up with excuses as to why things don't happen. Statements like, I'm bored, or I've already done my homework, I don't want to show it to you. But the child begins to build defensive mechanisms, coping mechanisms, to cover up weaknesses.
Mentoring with that, because I know a challenge for me as a parent is that I can say something you've told me, tell my child, he will look at me and just nod his head and not listen to it. But when he hears it from another adult, all of a sudden it will connect.
Yeah, we do that. In fact, because our tutors are teachers, they share experiences with the students. And this is especially important as the students get into the high school level. We have a number of athletes who are struggling and looking to get into some good schools, and we go through our experiences and why academics is important and how you have to apply the same disciplines to academics that you do to the sports in order to achieve and get to meet your goals, to get to the school you want to.
Right, right. And what are your ideal clients? What would be an ideal client?
An ideal client is really a mom or a dad who is concerned and wants to help their child, their student, to achieve better grades, to get further ahead in school. And we'll sit with them, we'll go over where they're at, what's happening, and then if they sign up with us, do an assessment, sit down and go over that and give them recommendations on how to go forward.
Is there anything else that you would like to tell the audience?
Tutoring.
Right.
And
How could you be reached?
We can be reached by going on the web, and we're at www.crabappletutoring.com.
Great, great. Thank you, Eric, for being here. Really appreciate your time. Again, this has been Eric Johnson of Crabapple Tutoring. Very happy to have him here today. Until we meet again, be well.